Ah, okay. Says we're on. Let's make sure we are. Everybody hang in here with us. I'm at the page. I'm going to refresh. We usually have that 30-second. Yes, not telling me we're live yet. Oh, no, still saying starting soon. We'll play catch up with everybody. Let's see. Still says starting soon. That's because 30 seconds is longer than you think it is.
One chimpanzee, two chimpanzee.
No, that's I think it's the other. There we are. Okay, that's it. We are live from New York, and I'm Ellie Walsh.
And I'm Carol Mikowski. Hi.
All right, and here we are tonight. Napoleon Hill's Law of Success. We are on, according to this book, lesson 14, tolerance. Some of the books that you put this as lesson 15. But it's all the original writing. I don't know why that is, why there's some different, even the audio we listen to has it at lesson 15. But this book, this gigantic book, look how big it is lesson 14, tolerance. So we will tolerate that some call it lesson 15 and some call it lesson 14. We're almost at the end here. So bring us up to speed.
Yep. This is the penultimate chapter, the second last chapter, and as you said, it's called Tolerance. And I am going to talk a little bit about what Napoleon says, and then I'll talk about what I think. Ellie yelled at me for not talking about what I think.
I can tell. I'm a very tolerant person.
Yell at me. She just said. And I said my job was to say what Napoleon says, and Ellie can do the interpretation, but I'll do my own a little bit too. At any rate, he goes in the back door and talks about tolerance by way of intolerance. And he says there's two particular features of intolerance. One is the form of ignorance, which is the chief cause of all wars, and it makes enemies in business. Chief cause of all wars. And secondly, he says intolerance is the chief disintegrating force in organized religions because the sects oppose each other in an effort to destroy the evil of the world. Now, he talks a lot about, well, let me first of all, I love the history that comes through in this too, because he talks about World War I, which was over, I think, just about probably a little less than 10 years, maybe 9 years when he wrote this book. And it was still very...
I have to jump in here, not because of anything you're saying, but this, I know you don't see what I see, and we are going back and forth. If people are watching this, they're getting ill, all right? We're flipping back and forth, and I don't know if it's because my fan is on, so I'm listening, but I'm going to shut my camera and my microphone off for a minute, just close it down, and I'm listening. I'm going to go over and see if it's my fan doing this.
Oh, okay, fine.
Sorry.
So I was just saying that it was about not quite 10 years after the end of World War I, which was very impactful. It was the largest war that ever took place in recorded history, at any rate, to my knowledge. And I think that people believe that the destruction and harm caused by it was so much that it would never, ever, ever happen again. Little did they know. So he spends a lot of this chapter talking about war, and he actually comes up with a treatise on how to avoid war. But bottom line is, what came through for me is that my friend Napoleon is a tremendous humanitarian, and he talks about politics, he talks about business, he talks about war, how to stop war, but he also talks about stopping war as a means of promoting the human race, because if war continued to take place every few years, there was just decimation all over the place. And as he said, if one area in the world is destroyed, is decimated by war, it affects the whole globe, which is true if you think about it, economically, all kinds of different ways, psychologically, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how he impressed me in particular, is by his humanitarianism, which comes through. He gives very specifics in his treatise on how to avoid war, and he says there's three primary influences in the world. One is the church, one is education, and one is the public media as we know it today. And he says it's up to the churches to get together and influence the politicians to make changes in the world so that people become the most important thing, not money, not power, not whatever else might be the motivating factor. And he also makes the point that the only people who want war are the people who profit from it. And I'm sure that that was and still is in politics an extremely unpopular stance. So that said, yes, he thought that women actually needed to come together within the churches to influence, because women are more future-oriented and are more willing to subjugate what's going on in the present in order for the benefit of the future. Whereas, in Napoleon's opinion, men are out to take advantage of whatever they can at the present time and make it work for them. So, that said, that I'll throw it over to you, Ellen.
I'm almost wondering if I hope people are being tolerant right now. When I went over and looked, when the person I started the hangout, so I see me and then I see Carol when she talks. Carol, when you're on there, you never see yourself, right?
I see the little box down at the bottom, yeah.
Talking about the big screen. So as a participant, you cannot believe what's going on here. All right, you're talking and you're there, and then I flash, and you're there, and then I flash. So I hope you're all being very tolerant, because I went over to the page to see was it just me seeing that, but it looks like it's doing that. So I was going to go out and come in again. Whatever. I guess we'll figure this. You just have to be tolerant.
So we have a psychedelic hangout then, huh?
Right. It's again when you're talking, you should just be the one showing. And I thought it was my fan, and it's not. And I turned my microphone off because I thought it was sound in here, and it's not. So I think Napoleon is like haunting us.
Could very well be.
We don't have too much more to go. So I was a little preoccupied here. I hope you have tolerance of that. And I heard you talking all about, the war, and I loved it that it's a form of ignorance, intolerance. The subject is tolerance, and he immediately goes into intolerance. And he goes into now I love him even more, if you thought I loved him before.
Right.
And when we started this, I hated this. I'm not doing this. What am I, crazy? Why did I say I would do this? And and you just said it. We talked earlier a little bit about this. This is a huge personal development book, and you said something about with business sprinkled in. But to me, the whole point of this is, if you don't got that, if you don't got that personal development, I don't care how many skill sets you have. I'm not going to say you're not going to go far without personal development. And I think that's been proven in people's lives time and time again. So he goes in this chapter, all about what I call mindset, all about how your belief systems, how, he says if you're a Catholic, or a Protestant, it was because it was induced on you. He actually probably said it stronger than that, if I can remember what that was. But,
he said forced.
I think he said forced there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it
Yes.
was forced on you because you were brought up that way, and it's true. And if you said to your parents, "No, I want to be a whatever," if you were being brought up in a Protestant house and you told your parents you wanted to be a Catholic, and they weren't going to be happy. Now, times have changed, so we were talking about that too. All right, years ago, I think maybe again, people were more religious or followed their religion more stronger, whatever. I think people are more. I think people are more open-minded today. And I don't know if I can even credit that. I mean, the internet took that and accelerated that because you learn so much globally today because of the internet. But even by the time when I was young, which isn't that long ago, especially not as long ago as Napoleon, okay, they were already getting more open-minded. People just what? At least now, wait a minute, I'm laughing because in my neighborhood, because you really are a product of your neighborhood, right? Your parents, the teachers, it's from your neighborhood. The churches, it's from your neighborhood. You really are a product of your neighborhood. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things I teach is if you're reacting to life, you're really reacting from those belief systems that was set down from your parents, from your teachers, from the clergymen, from the authorities, within your neighborhood. And those are the things you can't change. He said something in here about having to unlearn, and obviously you can't unlearn, but you can't change what happened, but you can make those shifts to be self-aware. Because I mean, I don't know how many people have done this, but I know I personally have sat down years ago now, all right, and looked at the belief systems that at least I could see then. I don't know if we even see all of our own belief systems, right? And I was a little shocked at some of them. I was like, I don't know why I believe that. I don't really believe it. I don't really believe it. It's not really what I believe, but I was raised in it. And you found that tendency. You asked me earlier about something about being religious, and I thought, well, I don't know if I was religious. I went to church because they would have broke my legs if I didn't. So I would have gotten in trouble because they told on you if you didn't go to church because I went to Catholic school. So I don't want to get told on. But I probably stopped when I was 14. I made believe I was going to church and then went out. So, I don't know if that was religious, but I can still walk into a church today, and I was raised Catholic, and I know when to get up, when to do this, when to kneel, when to do that. I know when to do that. That's like pretty interesting. After how many years, I mean, I'm alive a lot longer than those 14 or 15 years that I went to school. So when you realize that those belief systems that laid down are strong, to me, that's what your work's all about. I think this book stretches you to take a look at that kind of stuff.
Well, that's what he's talking about all throughout this chapter. Actually, he's talking about belief systems, and in particular, he mentions how in those days the Germans influenced the children, the Japanese influenced the children, and also in our country we influence the children to think certain ways. And his idea was that we have to switch that and imbue children with a more tolerant view of life, humanitarian again, where people are of more importance than other things, in order to avoid war and change the direction of the world. Something else I wanted to say, I forgot.
Well, I mean, it's like impossible not to influence children.
Right, that's where I was going to go. Right.
right? It is. It's impossible not to.
Or
So,
anybody. When you speak a belief.
but they got it right here. He said from born to 14 or 15, and then some other guy, I forget the guy's name, said, "Give me a kid till they're 12, and
Right.
I'll." And he was gonna. Anyway, he was talking about religion, and then you could take them from there and try to teach them any other religion, and it wouldn't work. Now, I don't agree with that. All right, I don't agree with that, but um, he's got the right time frame. In actuality, a lot of people will tell you 7 to 8. From from birth to 7 to 8 is the most impressionable time. And then of course you're still impressionable after that. But the most impressionable time, and that's because kids live in that theta land. They live in theta brainwaves, which are extremely impressionable. That's why children learn quicker than we do. We think there's something wrong with us, and there isn't. There's nothing wrong with our brains. They've proven that today now. Your brain don't die. Okay? And so it's just that we're in alpha all the time, which is that busy, until we finally go to sleep. So children sit in that alpha. We're in beta. Children sit in that alpha and that theta especially. So it's extremely impressionable. So those things that they're hearing and you think they're not hearing when they're in the other room, they are hearing it because they're like sponges. Now I hear what that guy was saying. If I teach this kid this religion, maybe because he's talking about he would truly brainwash them. I don't know. He didn't explain how he was going to do it. Till they're 12 years old, you'd never be able to take them away. And I guess in conventional land, not understanding what we understand today, that would probably be true. I think people that feel stuck today, the reason why they're stuck is they're stuck in old belief systems that don't jive with them, but they don't get it. So you feel stuck, but you don't even understand why.
Well, let me bring up another point that he mentioned, that most of the imbuing of these beliefs on people, on children in particular, were done in an emotional situation. If you do it in an aura of high emotion, it's going to stick that much harder. And I'm just thinking, a few elections back, I think it was Dennis Kucinich, he talked about wanting to develop a Department of Peace in the government. And, he was labeled a nutcake. I would have voted for him. But if you think of it, we're raised in this thing about war and keeping the military going. Fear, the emotion of fear. People are out to get us. If we don't get them, they're going to get us. And
well, like Napoleon said, the only people that benefit from war are the people who profit from it, and a lot of people profit from war.
Right. So they didn't want to hear anything about a Department of Peace.
But then we're raised in this, and then we run around like assholes, sorry, it's the truth, okay, saying, oh, you don't like war, you're not patriotic.
Right.
No, I like people to live. I don't like to maim people, and I do believe there's a better way. I do believe that. I'm not saying we've gotten there yet, because we just have crazy people, and not just this country. All right, these people, everybody's running around just trying to do this power thing, and people think it's about being patriotic, and I hate to say that, but it's about money. All right, we better not get into politics, because I'm getting intolerant. Did you see that? Did you notice? The veins will pop out on my neck.
Right.
All right, and so it's like whatever. I think that the biggest aha here for people, I hope, after reading this whole book, and this, it's funny, he says this is the most important chapter. It's the smallest chapter. What was it, only 20 pages?
Just about, yeah. I think it's the most important. I think it's the foundation, the basis, the philosophy of the whole book is wrapped up in this chapter.
Right, but I think you have to go to really grasp this. I don't know if you would have done this first, if you would have, if it would have been an impression. No. If you went through all these others and now you get to here.
Right, absolutely.
But I think the biggest thing is to realize, because you were saying with emotion, if you bring an emotion in, you can impress something, easier. And that's true. So if you're aware of the fact, oh God, I don't care how good you are at this, all right? I'm still running on some old stories, because we are to some degree. And somebody who's never even thought that process really ought to be looking at that. And all I need to do is get a chief definite aim. If you want to talk it the way Napoleon talks it, I'd call it a vision, an intention, a desire. Napoleon calls it a chief definite aim. We're talking about the same thing here.
Right.
And he says, write it down. He says, read it 2 or 3. Sometimes he says 2 times, other times he says 3 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
A day, right? He says that. And he does say to bring emotion into it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And here's the ticket why. Because that's how you impress, something in your brain.
That anchors it.
Utilize it, that's right. So if you can utilize emotion, if you can sit down and visualize it, we've talked about this before, if you can conjure up a smell, if you can conjure up a sound, if you can, and you can, not if, you can do it. The only way you can't do it is if you don't take the time to do it.
Right. Right.
So you can do all of those things. Sometimes at first it might take a little longer to do it. It might take you 15 minutes instead of 7. And the more you do it, and he didn't talk this because he didn't know this then, but you're creating a neural pathway. That's why I still remember some of these crazy things, because it's been anchored also. Okay? So when I walk into a church and they ring the bell or some odd thing, I have to be there now to even know what it is. But it's a signal, and I know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, now been a lot of years since I've been in church, and I know what to do. Why? Because that signal, because I learned this for all these years, and especially in those impressionable years, and that little bell or whatever the hell it was then, okay, was always the signal. So you anchor it. So, there are people that will do things with their fingers. If you can conjure up a great feeling of excitement and do something specific with your finger or a touch, because the more you do that, you can actually bring that emotion back up. You have to do it more than 2 or 3 times, but you can bring that emotion back up then by touching your face or whatever it is, or ringing a bell or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, he really lays that out here of look at how we work. They knew how we work better than I thought they did in those years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have to say this man is brilliant, because some of his ideas he has in this whole book are amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm not just talking about his progressiveness in understanding human beings and human character and personal development, but he did have incredible business ideas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to go back and talk a little bit about ignorance and belief system again. And I'm going to give a personal experience that I learned something about in terms of ignorance. My mother, who, as you know, we always talk about our mothers, loved music, loved to sing around the house, etc., hated classical music and opera, hated it. So I thought I hated opera. Anytime I heard opera, I'd say, oh, I hate that. I hate it. Then, when I went to school, I had an opportunity to take an elective class, and there was one on, the word is appreciation of opera. And I said, what the hell, let me try it and see what happens. I took it, and I have gained such an appreciation of opera. Now, not all of it, I will say. I haven't gotten into the heavy stuff with Wagner and some of the others, but I love so many of the operas now, and it was by learning.
How old were you?
Huh?
How old were you when you did that?
I was about 20, probably. I was in college. So the point being that knowledge can break through ignorance.
Yes.
Which can change beliefs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what.
And you gain this appreciation is a beautiful word for it, because I now appreciate it.
I don't like it. Did you tell your mother you liked it? Did you?
Probably, I don't remember.
I'm just
But
curious.
that's just one example that comes to my mind about breaking through the cycle of,
Yeah,
of
to think. Well, no, now so I can give you the ice cream example with
right,
me.
same damn thing, right?
My mother always told me I like chocolate ice cream. I mean, I did like I'm not stupid. Okay, I like chocolate ice cream. But sometimes I would be like a kid, and I mean, I wasn't like a kid. I was a kid, and when the ice cream in, I'd go, I don't know if I want chocolate or vanilla. And she was probably like, oh crap, this will take 20 minutes to decide what she wants because you like chocolate. So for years after that, I just automatically ordered chocolate. And then one day I thought, I think I like vanilla. And I mean, it never dawned on me to order vanilla.
Right.
I mean, I was in my 30s when this happened, okay? And so maybe I was 29, and so I finally ordered vanilla ice cream.
And you appreciated it.
Oh my God, I love it. I love vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. I think I've gone to the other extreme now because I think since then, which is a few years since I was 29, I've only eaten vanilla. So
Yep.
I don't know. And I've always said I don't like strawberries, so maybe I should go find out if that's true. But maybe that is what it's about. Maybe it's about looking at some of these things that you say you do, you don't like, or you do like, or whatever, and investigating that a little bit.
Yeah. Learn about it. Yeah.
Right. Saying, well, I always, but I'm going to do it this way.
Okay. Well, what is it that you say all the time, Ellie? How can I see this differently? Bingo. There it is.
And those questions are, really, really important questions because they throw you back out of those mindsets, belief systems that you're running on, and they throw you into the now. Because don't you want to be making your decisions and your choices now? Not from when you were 10.
Right.
Not from experiences that happened, and they were probably yours even by then. Or they were other people's experiences that they passed on to you, other people's opinions, and we're making frickin' decisions from it. Now, we're set up that way. I get that. But obviously nobody ever told us that. You see, I think today, like we were just saying, you can't not influence a child. They're living with you and you're telling them, but you can very early on get them to experiment and investigate. When they say, about instead of following this path, but in other words, doing what is it Thoreau who says, follow the road less traveled.
Yeah.
Because that has made all the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool. So he went on and on about war. I wish he was right. I wish the president would do this and stop war, but whatever, how to abolish war. It was a paper he wrote, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know whom he gave it to.
I don't know either, but probably said it.
Probably published it in his Medium, whatever it was. Magazine, yeah.
Magazine. This is, I mean, this is the chapter you really see what a humanitarian he is. It absolutely is. And he hits big points here in 20 pages. And he calls it the most important chapter. And I think it is. I think if you learn tolerant, that doesn't mean nothing ever pisses you off. There's a difference between getting pissed off and being intolerant. Because I can get annoyed and then I can say, how can I see this differently? And I can get rid of it very quickly. It's that instantaneous, and maybe it is because, again, it's from some damn old belief system that kicked in for a moment, but I'm able to switch that out very quickly instead of following. When you follow that intolerance, that's the life you live. and that's not a successful life, intolerance. So I don't know.
Well,
This thing is driving me crazy tonight,
what's that?
If I look distracted, I am.
Why? You're seeing this.
I feel like I'm on drugs. And I didn't even get to be psychedelic with it.
Well, I had my two takeaways from this chapter were, number one, to break through the cycle of ignorance with knowledge and experience, trying new things. And the second thing is, well, I think he just emphasizes the fact that we're all connected when he says that destroying one, even if it's a tiny little part of the world, a teeny little country, a little island, whatever, has impact on the whole world.
That's right. And it's true. That's right. And so, like you said before, it really is about education, real education, and education also in, personal development, that, reading books, listening to audio books, reading books like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Not ones this heavy. Imagine taking this on the subway. But because I know for me, that's true. I was raised where I was raised. I had a huge amount of belief systems. And when I was introduced to personal development, I would say I was like 27. I started to read Og Mandino books, really cool books. And then went on even beyond that. My life changed. My life, and because of those books. Because I also then ended up hanging with different people. It happens. It just happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looking for them. It just seems that now you end up with this group of people, and they're talking about this book and these ideas, and so my life absolutely changed from reading personal development books, and I promise you nobody in my family told me to read them. Oh, I shouldn't say that, though. My father read Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking.
Well, I think Napoleon spoke of that in one of the previous chapters about whom you hang out with is going to influence how you are, or vice versa. How you think will determine whom you hang out with.
It's all in here. And so, it's not next week. We already know we won't be here Monday. We're doing a live event, well, an in-person live event. This is not a dead event. We're doing an in-person event on Monday. So, not about Napoleon Hill, but about business. And
the following week we're going to be away, I think, aren't we?
We're not sure what day we're going to do this, so stay tuned here at the website or at the Facebook page, at my Facebook page, at Carol's Facebook page. Mine went away, I see. Whatever, Ellie Walsh Uplifts, or find me, Ellie Walsh, or Carol's page, Carol Mikowski page. And we will let you know when we're going to do, because this is the last chapter.
Coming up, yeah.
Lesson 15, which is a big one. Oh, my God.
It's the golden rule. You talk about the humanitarian piece of Napoleon. Woo!
So this is really going to be
Heavy duty.
Right, so I'm looking forward to it. I haven't read it yet. Carol's read it.
Yes, I
I'll
did.
read it week by week. So we will be back for this, for the golden rule, and then maybe we'll do another one after that. I'll do a wrap-up, but it's definitely not next Monday. We will let you know when. If you have comments, questions, whatever. I just realized I never even checked over here. So I hope if you had comments that I didn't miss them. And I think we're good. Yes, we'll be back soon. We know that. It's sometime next week. Okay, I just wanted to check that. I don't know if that's working either. So it's been an interesting night. I tried to stay tolerant. For me, I don't know if the people watching the replay, somebody let me know if it started to draw us back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, or either that or I'm having hallucinations.
Well, now there's the possibility.
Never know. So be tolerant until we're back next time.
Right.
Yes?
Well, good night, everybody.
Bye.